Support for law changes to reduce alcohol-related harm in Aotearoa is being presented at Parliament later today. More than 8,000 people signed a petition and 115 organisations are behind an open letter in support of the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Amendment Bill put forward by Green Party Drug Reform spokesperson Chloe Swarbrick. The bill seeks to protect children from alcohol sponsorship, for example, beer adverts while watching broadcast sport. Just think Rugby Steinlager Series and the ASB Classic Tennis Open, sponsored by Heineken. The bill also sets out to abolish the special appeals process from councils, giving the community more say about where bottle stores and other outlets which sell booze can open up in their neighbourhood. Councils throughout the country are already getting behind the issue, voting to endorse the bill. Before they jump on a flight to the capital to present the petition, we are very lucky to be joined in our Auckland studio by Alcohol Health Watch Executive Dr. Nikki Jackson and Tiana Kettle to share her experience with alcohol harm. Morena to you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morena.
It's going to be a really big day for you guys, isn't it? Nikki, I'll start off with you. How important is it that you present this petition to Parliament today?
Well, I think in New Zealand it's long overdue to have change around alcohol law. For too long, our laws have failed to curb the harm from alcohol and our communities are still suffering. We still have high levels of hazardous drinking. So this is a real great opportunity to start to turn the tide and start to have positive change in relation to our drinking culture. So it's a rare opportunity and a great one.
And you've got a lot of support behind you as well, don't you?
Absolutely. So the petition will be presented today by Hapai Tohora and over 8,000 signatures and a whole range of organisations. And I think there's been a real growing appetite, and you can see across councils, a momentum for change, wanting to do things differently, to redesign our neighbourhoods so they're healthier, that they promote good health.
Yeah. And Tiana, I mean, you've sort of had first-hand experience with the harm that alcohol can cause. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Growing up in my neighbourhood, I come from East Auckland, a little place called GI, Glen Innes. My household, within 10 minutes, there was a 10-minute walk, there was 7 liquor stores available. One of them being 5 minutes away from my primary school, another one being a minute or two away from my college. And being able to just see that every day walking past normalised that into my life. And also it just being part of culture growing up, it was not something that we could actually change at the time. We knew what it was wrong, but it was just part of a lifestyle. And that I don't want for my own kids, so I'm against up for this bill and everything. So.
And you're talking about primary school, seeing these things walking to and from school. It's been a few years since then. Has it got better?
No, I think they've actually added a new one into the neighbourhood. Yeah. So honestly, the fact that those could be used up for other things, like a stationery shop in our neighbourhood, you know, instead of kids going out instead, having to go to like nicer places in Auckland to get away from that, where it's just everywhere, and I feel low budget communities, which isn't actually fair, because then most of that money goes towards them and less towards the families.
Yeah, so this bill here, it's targeting some of those bottle stores and supermarkets as well, isn't it? Two main parts of this bill. The first one being that supermarkets and bottle stores, those businesses with the cash and I guess with the time, can no longer appeal some council decisions on liquor laws, right?
Yeah.
How much do you think that will help?
Well, councils have told us time and time again that this is the process that's stopping them from upholding community wishes for greater control. So absolutely, these policies can put in place provisions that protect new bottle stores opening close to schools. But you know, we've been down this track for 9 years for local alcohol policies, for council to develop their own controls. But they've been appealed by the supermarkets and the bottle stores. So only a third of the population now live in a council that has a local alcohol policy, because this month Auckland's council went to the Supreme Court. They've been challenged all the way, and so communities have not been left with good protections in terms of alcohol harm.
And it means these appeals, they take years, don't they? And so it just completely delays the whole process. And in that time, those stores continue to be open in our neighbourhoods?
Yeah, so the Auckland's policy has been in appeals for 7 years now. And so that means that these communities that were going to have protections around no new bottle stores for 2 years, those protections haven't been put in place. And those councils that have gone through the appeals process have ended up watering down their policies to appeal the appellants, and they end up with nothing different to status quo.
So the second part of this bill is removing alcohol sponsorship of broadcast sport. That kind of goes to what you were saying, Tiana, with growing up with a lot of sort of alcohol in your face everywhere you go. How much do you think that could help?
I think it would open a lot of eyes, especially to the ones that don't want to see it. I think it would be great if it was a lot more community-based as well, try to get the people in it. But apart from that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a bit of a sticking point though, hasn't it? Because we've got the Deputy Prime Minister, Grant Robertson, saying that he's not going to support it purely because of the amount of money that it would take out of sport. What do you say to that?
Well, I think, you mentioned that this is about alcohol product sponsorship, and it's alcohol it's only broadcast sport. So it's not all sports sponsorship, it's just broadcast level, and it's not all alcohol sponsorship, it's just alcohol product branding. And so our studies have shown that, and that's a minority of sponsorship across sport clubs. And even in the paper this week, the East Coast rugby teams were coming out saying, well, we don't have alcohol product sponsorship on our team. So this belief that the sky will fall in because of this bill is not really true. In 2015, it was estimated about $7 to $9 million was spent of all alcohol sponsorship in broadcast sport, and that's not just product sponsorship.
Right. Are you both hopeful? I mean, we've had a terrible drinking culture, terrible reputation for that in New Zealand for years and years and years and years, and it seems like not much has changed. Are you hopeful that this will actually bring about change?
Well, 8,000 New Zealanders have, obviously signed a petition and supported a number of organisations. I have felt for a long time there's a strong community appetite for change, and certainly from the pandemic we need to be doing things differently as a number of New Zealanders have been drinking more. I think there is this ripe opportunity now. New Zealanders, the research shows there's strong public support for change, particularly around advertising. So the public is already there. The evidence is really strong. So as you say, it's about the politicians deciding on the day.
So straight after this interview, you're both getting on a flight to Wellington, right? What happens when you get there?
Well, we've got a handover, Hapai Tahora, handing over the petition to our MPs, and there'll be some guest speakers from the Salvation Army, and Tiana and others will be talking, and there'll be others there to support the event and to really kind of talk all of this kaupapa that's been going on.
Excellent. And Tiana, you talked about the negative impact that alcohol had on your life growing up. I want to end on something positive. How are you now? And tell me about your sort of aspirations. I hear you want to be a police officer.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a police officer because seeing what alcohol can do to people and how much it can influence, I didn't want that escalating. So I thought, as a police officer, I could also make that change within the community too. But honestly, I'm not stopping until it's done. So they're going to keep seeing my face until we accomplish what we need to accomplish, because at the end of the day, like Nikki said, the community is willing to make that change. We're just needing the politics to.
Yeah,
but,
brilliant.
Like I said, I'm here until the end.
Sounds like both of you are. Thank you so much for your time and for taking time out of your busy day today, and safe travels to Wellington. Thank you. That is Dr. Nikki Jackson from the Alcohol Health Watch and Tiana Kettle.